But I wanted to. I was watching last night, and I thought about this, and I thought about Seton. And I want to be very clear about a couple things. Number one, I know they are very different sports. Number two, I'm not looking to knock either sport, but I'm watching the Stanley Cup Final Game 7 last night, and it occurs to me, okay, there's two major sports where you try to score goals into a net, right? So like football's not like any of the other ones. The NBA, I guess there's some similarities that you're shooting a basket into a net, but it's different. You get 2 points or 3 points, and it's different. Obviously, baseball is its own category. But there's some decent similarities between soccer and hockey in the sense that anybody could watch it for 2 minutes and understand what the goal is. The goal is those guys are trying to put the puck or the ball in that net. Those guys are trying to do that. So I'm watching, I'm thinking, okay, there's a lot of similarities, but hockey's much faster, much more physical, and there are significantly more scoring opportunities in a typical, like shots on goal.
For sure.
Scoring opportunities in a typical hockey game over a soccer game, right? So I guess Seton, and maybe you won't even try. Maybe you won't even feel that way. But I guess what would you say if someone was just getting into being a sports fan? They were just starting in sports and they were going to pick a sport to watch. What would you say are the selling points for soccer over hockey? Like I just gave you what I feel like are selling points for hockey over soccer: speed, physicality, scoring. What's better about soccer than hockey in your mind?
Well, I would say that I think hockey, and I've said this before, is probably the best blend of physicality and skill. You know, like the physical nature of, say, like football, where you're really hitting each other, versus the technical ability of being able to skate and control the puck and shoot and all of that stuff. It's truly remarkable what hockey players are doing. I don't know that I could tell you. I guess why I like soccer better.
Why do you like soccer better?
Well, I grew up playing a little bit,
Right.
And I don't know. It's just a fun game. I just really like it. I don't know that I could tell you why you should support soccer over hockey, because I think hockey is an awesome game. I just didn't grow up in an environment with it. I didn't grow up. Nobody I knew played hockey. Nobody I knew was even a hockey fan. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, the part about soccer that could also translate over to hockey is that there's like a certain civic pride to it.
For sure.
Right? So when you're
there's
supporting...
There's more of that in hockey in Canada, I would say, than there is in the United States.
Right. Like
just like in soccer, there's more of that in basically every other country than there is in North America.
But they're right, because they're trying to make soccer like the NFL here, and that's not really the design of the game. I mean, to me, just the fact that it's the most popular game in the world in any country that has promotion and relegation is enough to say, like, wow, there's really something here as to why this sport is so great. Then that's clearly something. But to me, it has to do a lot with when you support your team from your town. Like I live in Hartford, Connecticut, so I support the Hartford team. Those are our boys going out and representing our town. This is our home. This is where we live, and those are our guys. And once you can kind of buy into that local mindset, to me, then
But that's every sport.
It's not really. It's not, because when you live in, I don't know, Springfield, Massachusetts, and you're supporting the Boston Red Sox, they're not in your town.
Oh, you're talking about like at the lower levels.
No, I'm talking about when you're a Manchester City fan, when you're a Barcelona fan, when
Right.
No, and all the way down to the lower levels. That's why, say, like a thing like promotion and relegation is so important, because you can go from the lower level to the top and support your same team all the way up to, you can be at the very bottom and win your way year over year over year over year to then be the greatest team in the world.
Well, I think anybody would agree that the relegation promotion thing is incredible. Like, that is maybe the best thing in sports, and it's kind of a shame that the American model can't really pull that off, because that is That I love that about it. I guess my point is like, if you went to people in some far off country that they've never heard of any sports, or if like aliens came here and you showed them hockey and soccer, I guess with no local ties, with no history to it, I guess I just feel like hockey has more going for it, Paulie.
I can see what you're saying.
I'm not,
No.
Look, I played soccer. I mean, Seton, just so you know, I was on the under 8, under 10, and under 12 A teams while missing youth soccer.
I think I could be objective because I never played either, and I like both watching. Hockey to me is awesome. It seems like something I would love to have played when I was a kid if I had access. You have access to soccer if you have feet and ground.
That's a big part
and
of it.
ground is really what you need to play soccer. And you could play it anywhere, anytime. You drive around where we live, and you'll see soccer matches anywhere on a patch
Well,
of
that's
dirt.
why it's so popular in South America and all these other countries, right? Like all you need is a ball.
That's why it's the people's game.
Yeah, I think
you don't need anything.
I think if you don't live in Minnesota or North Dakota or the Northeast, and access to ice time seems to me like very prohibitive of getting into the sport, cost of getting into the sport for young people. Actually, as far as like tuning in and watching it, there's a lot of similarities. But I always think soccer, people maybe don't respect it because it's not from America. But think of if hockey players had to go up and down the ice, but use their feet to move the puck instead of their hands.
Oh no,
I
I respect the heck out of soccer.
Yeah.
It's a fun sport, and what those guys are, some of the touches they have, it's like art. Soccer, I've heard soccer described as the beautiful game, right? And it is. There's passes. It's one of the reasons why we love Caitlin Clark so much, some of her passing. I feel like you get that in soccer a decent amount. Or like when they have the ball hit to them really hard and they somehow put their foot up and like gently bring it down right where they are, that is insane to me. But I guess it just, is it totally nuts for me to watch hockey last night and think, I'm a little surprised it's not more popular. I'm a little like what does soccer have that's better than hockey? Go, Seton.
Well, I don't know if soccer is more popular in the United States than hockey is right now anyway. So you're basically trying to say, take a less popular game here and convince people why it's more popular than a game that it's not more popular than. You know what I mean?
No, I just mean, I'm talking like
why do you choose the NFL, like football instead of hockey, when football is, and I mean this respectfully, one of the dumbest games ever created, in that it's impossible to explain in one play everything that's happening on the field.
Right.
I'll give you until the rest of this week to get through one play.
Well, what's funny about that is I talk about this a lot. It's one reason why I'm so glad that the NFL is trying to expand. So I played soccer from age 5 or 6 till I was 11 or 12. Really, really liked it. I think it's a fun sport. And then I put a helmet and shoulder pads on, and I knocked somebody that looked like Fritzy over. And I was like, this is unbelievable. This is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, it took me 5 seconds to realize, at least for me, and what I enjoy, that football and the physical part of it, like, way trumped whatever high I could get when I was playing soccer of scoring a goal or like kicking the ball and having a good pass. It was immediately trumped by just knocking kids over and just thinking, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. Like, this is still the best. I'm 45 and it's the best feeling. I mean, maybe second, but it's a very, very high on the feelings I can have as a human being. Paulie.
A lot of people discuss what's the toughest thing to do in sports, and being a goaltender or hitting a baseball, hitting a. Okay, those are fair, but I almost think football doesn't get its due for. You have to have a mentality to play high level football. You played high level football. I'm not talking just being a high school football player, but to play high level where pain doesn't bother you, and you enjoy distributing pain, and you really don't mind accepting pain. It's almost part of like a badge where you don't complain. I think you don't understand maybe what I'm talking about because you're conditioned to it.
Right, but I'd also say like it takes something. You have to have that in you.
Correct. I think you're a bit the top football players to me are people who don't mind getting hurt and deal with it casually and can hit other people hard.
You have to love that part of it to really be able to
love the violence.
But that's okay. Some people do, some people don't. What I think people don't appreciate enough about American football, NFL is like, it's controlled aggression. You can't just go out there and try to knock. If I went out there as offensive lineman and was just trying to kill guys, you would whiff a lot, and they would sack your quarterback, and you'd get fired. Like, it's controlled aggression, Seton.
And that's why I think that soccer, when compared to sport, to me, the better comparison is, say, not hockey or football, but basketball. Because it's more, basketball is a physical game too, but it's more about skill with the ball in some respects.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas I think football, if you're tough enough and you're athletic enough, you could play.
Well,
that's it.
I tell people all the time, it's very, very different because it is a height, weight, speed, aggressiveness sport. If you didn't play soccer or basketball until your junior year in high school, you're in trouble. Like, you're not going to be that good of a player, right?
It's never going to happen.
There's a lot of examples of people that don't play football until their junior year in high school, and they go out there, and they're big, fast, and aggressive, and they just start dominating. It's a size, speed, aggressiveness, physicality, for sure. Which, by the way, I think is part of the beauty, and why I tell people ask me all the time, would you let your son play football? When would you let him play? I'm like, I wouldn't let him play till 8th or 9th grade. He's not losing anything by waiting until then. He's not falling behind the other kids like you can in other sports, Paulie.
Do you find, because you played offensive line, but my guess is you probably played both ways when you were growing up.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you find when you get to the higher level of football, college and pro, that there's a difference in mentality of an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman, personality, mentality, or is that overblown? We're told that the defense is more aggressive and killers, and the offense are like a little more controlled.
Right. Well, that's by the nature of the position.
That's what we're told.
But I would tell you, every NFL team, every offensive line in college and the NFL, they're looking for offensive linemen with a defensive lineman mindset, right? So my freshman year, I started a couple games as a defensive end in college, and they moved me to offensive line because I had an incredible Christmas vacation. I gained, I think, 32 pounds during Christmas break.
During Christmas break?
So, dude, I've told you guys this before, probably.
Not the Christmas break story.
Are you serious? You gained that much weight, or are you being tongue-in-cheek?
So by the end of the season, I was like 258 as a defensive end, maybe 255. We went home for Christmas break, and Princeton Ivy League has like an extended Christmas break. My friends and I got a keg of Yingling every night, and we would go to the diner, and I distinctly remember going to the diner at 2 a.m. almost every night. I would get a ham and cheese omelet, wheat toast dry because I'm crazy healthy. Then I would get a stack of pancakes, a chocolate milkshake, and a side of Scrapple at 2 a.m. every day. When I went back, I left school at 2:55. Seton, when I went back, I was 284.
Holy crap, dude.
I gained 29 pounds.
And the coaches loved it.
And no.
How old were you?
No. I would have still been 18.
And was it?
I would have been a month away from turning 19.
And sorry, your plan was to gain weight, or you just did?
No, my coaches said.
Your coaches were like, "We need you to do this."
Absolutely not.
No.
They were stunned.
Really?
They said, I came back at 284. They said, "What did you do?" And I said, "I don't know. I had an amazing time." So I didn't tell them I got a keg of Yingling and went to the diner at West Reading Diner at 2 a.m. every morning. But they were like blown away. And then next thing I know, like a week or two later, they come up to me and they're like, "Listen, you're gonna start either way, but we're either moving you to D tackle because you're not a defensive end anymore, or we're moving you to offensive line. And if you move to offensive line, because you're still pretty athletic, like we think you could really be special there." So I think this is a good lesson for all the kids out there. I would have had no chance of making the NFL as a defensive lineman, none whatsoever. But moving to offensive line changed my life. So if you're going through a tough time in life, kids, and you're listening, the key is a keg of Yingling and Scrapple and a milkshake at 2 a.m. it can change your life. I wouldn't be hosting this show right now.
That is a fact.
If it wasn't for the pancakes. I'm wearing a pancake shirt. The pancakes, the ham and cheese omelet, the scrapple, the chocolate milkshake, and that glorious keg of Yingling in the winter of
97
into 98.
I need a 30 for 30 on
A
this.
2-week stretch in 97 has essentially laid out the rest of your life.
That is what prompted them to move me to offensive line.
Buddy.
Moving to offensive line prompted me to get in the NFL. Being an NFL player allowed me to get in the media. Being in the media allowed me to be hosting Dan Patrick today. This whole show, we have a new sponsor. This whole show is presented to you by eating and drinking at a diner at 2 a.m. Oh, man. Once again, weren't we talking about soccer versus hockey? How did that even happen?
Yeah.
We were talking soccer versus hockey. All right, let's wrap things up with what we learned, and maybe I can finally get to a call. Sorry, we've been having fun here. 41 minutes past the hour on the Dan Patrick Show.